My roommate said her snoring wasn't a problem, so I made it her worst nightmare. Imagine this. You've been awake for 19 straight hours. Your bones ache from performing for hundreds of guests, and all you want is sleep. But the moment you lie down, a sound erupts from the bunk below you, something between a chainsaw and a drowning bear, and you realize you're about to get zero rest. So when my roommate refused to admit her snoring was a problem, I hit my breaking point, and I decided to fight fire with fire. Or rather, sound with sound. If you've ever dealt with an inconsiderate roommate, a co-worker who didn't care about your well-being, or someone who dismissed your pain like it meant nothing, hit that like button. Because this is one of the most satisfying, pettiest, and perfectly justified revenge stories you'll hear today. All right, let's get into it. Working on a cruise ship is a strange kind of dream. You perform on stage under glittering lights, then step outside and smell the open ocean. Some nights feel magical. Other nights, you wonder how you're surviving on 3 hours of sleep and caffeine strong enough to melt steel. My room was tiny, 2 bunks, 1 desk, barely any space to change without elbowing the wall. We were stationed close to the anchor, meaning every docking sounded like thunder ripping the earth open. But despite all that, I'd gotten used to the noise. What I couldn't get used to was my roommate. Let's call her Marissa. She was another performer, talented, bubbly, and seemingly harmless. And when we got assigned as roommates, she neglected to mention one small detail. She snored, violently, not the soft little whiffles your grandma makes during a nap. No, more like if someone amplified a lawnmower, fed it rocks, then shoved it into a cave. It rattled the bunk, the walls, my skull. The first night I heard her, I legitimately thought she was choking. I sat up so fast I smacked my head on the ceiling, peered over the side of my bunk, and yelled her name. She didn't move. Instead, she gargled on air like a vacuum sucking up marbles. That's when I realized, oh, this isn't an emergency. This is her normal. I tried everything. Earplugs did nothing. Noise-canceling headphones, useless. Even the sound of the ship's anchor, literal metal grinding against metal, couldn't drown her out. After a night of at best 1 hour of fragmented sleep, I approached her gently the next morning. Hey, I think you might have sleep apnea or something. You snore super loud and sometimes choke in your sleep. I barely slept last night. She blinked at me, shrugged, and said, well, I slept fine. Just like that, as if her comfort was the default and everyone else simply didn't matter. I stood there, exhausted, feeling my eye twitch. Okay, but maybe we can figure out something. A nasal strip, a sleep study, literally anything that helps. She rolled her eyes. You're overreacting. It's not a big deal. Not a big deal. Over the next week, I dragged myself through rehearsals like a zombie. I'd laugh on stage, dance, perform, then immediately feel my knees buckle the moment I walked off. Every night was the same cycle. Snoring, choking, zero sleep, repeat. Then came the night that pushed me over the edge. I started my day at 9 a.m., ran rehearsals, performed 2 full shows, did meet and greets, helped with a late night event, and didn't get to clock out until 11 p.m. I had to be up again at 6 a.m. I collapsed onto my bunk, praying, begging the universe for rest. 2 hours later, I felt tears burn behind my eyes. My hands shook from exhaustion. My entire body screamed. And in that delirious, sleep-deprived haze, Something inside me snapped like a dry twig. I whispered to myself, if she doesn't think it's a problem, then she shouldn't mind hearing it. And that's when my revenge was born. The next night, while she was deep in her rumbling, earth-shaking sleep, I grabbed my phone and recorded everything, every gasp, every choke, every snort that sounded like a dying lawnmower. The file was nearly 45 minutes long, and honestly, terrifying. The next day, I stumbled into our room for a short break. She was lying on her lower bunk, scrolling on her phone. "Oh good," she said. "I'm gonna take a nap." I smiled, a slow, deeply unhinged smile fueled by 2 weeks of lost sleep. "Sure, go ahead." As soon as she closed her eyes, I pressed play. Her own snoring, full volume. She shot upright like she'd been defibrillated. "What the? Turn that off!" I stared down at her from my bunk, legs dangling, calm as a monk who'd achieved enlightenment through suffering. "Why?" I asked sweetly. "It's just you snoring, and you said it wasn't a big deal." Her jaw clenched. Her face turned red. She sputtered, "It's annoying." I tilted my head. "Exactly." Then I pressed play again. She stormed out of the room. For the next 3 days, every time she tried to nap, every time she crawled into bed, every time she even looked slightly drowsy, play. Her own snoring, on loop, weaponized, amplified, her personal soundtrack of denial. She called me petty. She called me insane. She said I was harassing her. I simply shrugged. "I'm just helping you understand what I go through every single night." Eventually, she cracked. She marched to management and filed a complaint. I got called into the office. She sat there with her arms crossed, playing victim, claiming I was blasting random loud noises. But she conveniently left out the part where those random noises were, her face hole while unconscious. Our manager looked at me, eyebrows raised. "Is that true?" I calmly explained everything. The exhaustion, the snoring, the choking, her refusing to address it, my attempts to communicate, her saying it wasn't a problem. I showed them the recording. Her eyes widened in horror as the manager listened. He paused the audio, rubbed his temples, and sighed. "Marissa, this is not normal, and refusing to address it isn't acceptable. You can't ignore your roommate's well-being." For the first time since we met, she looked embarrassed and furious, mostly furious. In the end, management decided the situation was too strained to continue. We were both reassigned new roommates. When I moved my things out of the room, she wouldn't look at me. She slammed drawers, huffed, muttered under her breath. But you know what? I finally slept, peacefully, deeply, silently. And knowing she spent 3 full days being haunted by her own snoring, that was the sweetest revenge I could have asked for. Watching her flinch awake to her own snoring, seeing her try to argue that it wasn't a problem, while hearing exactly how horrifying it was, hearing the manager call her out for being difficult, it felt like the universe finally said, "You deserve rest." And after weeks of misery, I finally got it. Justice served. Petty? Maybe. Effective? Absolutely. Satisfying? Beyond measure. Sometimes people don't care about your pain until they're forced to experience it themselves. Respect is a two-way street. And on a cramped cruise ship, or in life in general, ignoring someone else's well-being always comes back around. If this story gave you secondhand satisfaction, hit that like button. And tell me in the comments, what's the worst roommate you've ever dealt with? I want the horror stories. And of course, subscribe for more Reddit revenge tales that let justice finally have the last word.